You guys know I try to stay away from the reactionary stuff, but I felt like I needed to make this video. While I would love to share more things you need to know about Valhalla, it feels like we're gonna have to wait even longer for more info to come out. Ubisoft revealed that their next Forward event is happening on September 10th, which is next week. But if you were hoping for more Assassin's Creed like I was, you're probably gonna be disappointed. Or will you? Right now, we kind of don't know, which is so weird. Ubisoft put out another trailer showcasing everything that's going to happen at Ubisoft Forward and posted an article to their news site. The pre-show starts an hour before, and it's so funny to me because they talk about a Brawlhalla matchup that they're going to stream, which the name is so similar to Valhalla that it almost feels like they're trolling us. And then we're gonna see updates for Roller Champions, For Honor, The Division 2, and Ghost Recon Breakpoint. Once again, this is the pre-show, and within the pre-show there is no Assassin's Creed Valhalla. But then they go on to say that the main show will include Watch Dogs Legion, Rainbow Six Siege, and Hyperscape, as well as an update on Gods and Monsters, which is actually now Immortals Phoenix Rising. Once again, these are the main focuses for the show. Before the last Ubisoft Forward, they put out a similar article that said that they were going to focus on Valhalla, Hyperscape, and Watch Dogs Legion. So it's very clear that we're not going to see Ubisoft focus on Assassin's Creed Valhalla in a big way during Ubisoft Forward, if at all. Heads up, I did want to tell you guys that I got to participate in an exclusive capture event for Immortals Phoenix Rising, so I will be sharing my honest opinions on that game right after Ubisoft Forward, so stay tuned to my channel for that. But again, main takeaway here, Valhalla is not a main focus for this event. And then I wanted to point out this small phrase at the end that there's yet more to be revealed surprises. During the last Forward, this was a couple of mobile games and Far Cry 6, but Far Cry 6 was being teased heavily by Ubisoft, and it also leaked on Amazon France, which seems to leak absolutely everything Ubisoft. The point is, if you were holding on to hope that Valhalla would be a surprise during this event, that just does not make any sense to me. It's already been revealed, it's not a surprise at this point. And then at the end of the article, it says, stick around after the main event for a deep dive into 2 unreleased games exclusive to this edition of Ubisoft Forward. Now, I've had people on Twitter ask me, jayvee, do you think that Valhalla could be during this part of the event? And unfortunately, the answer is no, and I think even asking that question shows how desperate we are to learn more about Valhalla. This is going to be 2 unreleased titles that are exclusive to this Forward event, meaning if they appeared in the last one like Valhalla did, it's not going to be in this section of the show. If there's one thing you take away from this video, it's that it's very unlikely that we're gonna see anything Assassin's Creed Valhalla from this Ubisoft Forward event. Funny story, I had made this entire video, recorded it, and said this is why you're not gonna see any Valhalla, and then I sat down to edit and looked on Twitter and found this from Access the Animus. The Assassin's Creed German accounts posted across all social media, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, that there would be new information revealed about Valhalla during the Ubisoft Forward event. So I did some digging and actually found that the German accounts posted a story on Facebook and Instagram with a series of new screenshots showcasing hunting, which is something that we've never really seen gone into detail up to this point. Now, if you couldn't tell, I don't speak German, so I consulted my foreign language expert, Google Translate, and came up with this. How do you become a good hunter? Lesson 1. Step 1. Wait for the right moment. This could take a while. Step 2, get up quietly, even if your knees hurt. Yes, we know your knees hurt after such a long time. Step 3, just one last thing, aim for the sore spot. The best step, enjoy your success with your team. Basically, this highlights hunting and weak spots and how those mechanics work in the game. Honestly, this feels really similar to Ubisoft's travel ads, their marketing campaign they've been doing on social media for Valhalla. Just little bits of info, nothing super concrete or specific. If you look closer at these screenshots, I don't know if we've seen this bow or this set of armor before, so those are some new little bits of detail. And the last screenshot shows Eivor sitting at a campfire with what looks like an ally, maybe a Yams Viking. Now, I've had tons of people ask me, jayvee, can you take your Yams Vikings, your allies, on little hunting missions. In my interview, I asked game designer Jessica Maher this same question.
We do plan on having some unique and distinct exchanges with the folks back at the settlement, that's for sure. I think the details will be left once we get to launch, but there are going to be definitely some unique experiences to be had there for sure.
And I'm sure some of you are wondering about that campsite too. Is this a new mechanic where we can lay down our camp anywhere and perform certain small activities that we could only do in the settlement? There's always a possibility, but I don't think that this confirms anything right now. Especially because, as I'm recording this video, Ubisoft's German social accounts removed all of these posts, like they don't exist anymore. Honestly, guys, this just seems like a simple mistake, a miscommunication. If I had to guess, the German social media accounts for Ubisoft and Assassin's Creed had this stuff prepared, and they meant to put it out next week, maybe sometime in the future, and they mistakenly put it out on the same day that Ubisoft Forward was announced. I also think it's more likely that they just got bad information that Valhalla would be at Ubisoft Forward instead of the alternative, which is that Ubisoft has some secret reveal plan for Valhalla that we weren't supposed to know about, but it got leaked through the German accounts. Once again, I think it would be very strange, like beyond strange, for Ubisoft to claim that Valhalla won't be at this Ubisoft Forward event, and then even put that little bit of text at the end of this article saying that there will be a deep dive of games that are exclusive to this Forward event. Like, that is as clear as it could possibly be that Valhalla won't be there. I guess stranger things have happened, but this would shock me. If it wasn't abundantly clear, even with this little slip up with the German accounts, I do not think we're going to see Assassin's Creed Valhalla at Ubisoft Forward. Now, I have to admit, outside of this weird leak, I am worried about Valhalla right now. I'm not like ringing the alarm bells or saying that this game is going to get delayed, but a few things are bothering me. The big thing is that we still haven't seen settlements, which is so strange to me. The game is 2.5 months away. I got to play 3 hours of it back in July. It was not even mentioned, it was not in my demo. It was missing from the last event, and I kind of expected to see something about settlements during this Ubisoft Forward. So the fact that we're not getting any Valhalla just makes me even more worried about settlements. Now, we did get small clips of gameplay, like from a zoomed out perspective of what the settlement will look like. We've also had some screenshots and some mentions, but outside of that, nothing. For something that's been described in multiple interviews from multiple developers as core to the experience, how have we not seen settlements yet? This just bothers me, and it could be a detail that I'm harping on specifically because I'm just really entrenched in this stuff like you guys. I want to know as much as possible, but I can't think of another major game that has talked about a feature that is super important to the entire experience that hasn't been shown off until 2.5 months before launch. Speaking of, we have to talk about the timing of all of this. Why would Valhalla be missing from a major Ubisoft event? This is Ubisoft's replacement for E3. I know we got 2 of these shows, but that's essentially how I'm viewing this. We got a little bit of Valhalla in the first one. It would make sense to get more here, especially since we're getting Watch Dogs in both of these events. Watch Dogs is a big IP, it's got plenty of fans, it sells well, but Assassin's Creed is the bigger of the two. It's their biggest release this year. Why would you not show more here? It's just kind of weird. Now, I am wondering if we're going to see another Forward event before Valhalla, like maybe late October. But that would be kind of weird to have one of these events just a month out from the game coming out. Watch Dogs is only 2 months away. It's actually less than 2 months. So I get that they want to show more of that game, but Valhalla comes out only 2.5 weeks later after Watch Dogs. So you'd think that we'd see more of both of these games. It could be that Ubisoft wants to put the spotlight on Immortals Fenyx Rising, which again used to be Gods and Monsters. This game is supposed to come out by the end of this fiscal year, by March 2021. So obviously it's been under wraps for a while. They announced a delay back in October of 2019. We haven't heard from this thing in forever. Without revealing anything, I've played several hours of the game, and I kind of understand why they would do this. It's made by Ubisoft Quebec, the studio who made Syndicate and Assassin's Creed Odyssey, which, say whatever you will about Odyssey and how it fits into the Assassin's Creed series, it sold really well and a lot of people really liked that game. Another possibility is unfortunate but true. It could be that Ubisoft wants to distance Assassin's Creed from itself for just a little bit because of the recent controversies. I haven't covered this on my channel yet, but Ashraf Ismail, the game's director, was fired, and then we also learned that the most important, the highest up creative person in Ubisoft has been suppressing females and women in this franchise for years. It could be that Ubisoft was planning something and decided to pull it because it makes sense for them to lay low right now on this franchise. Let things calm down before you come back and talk more about Valhalla. Once again, it's not a decision I agree with or condone, but that could be a factor here. And then it could be that Ubisoft recognizes that Assassin's Creed is a big enough brand, a big enough IP, that it doesn't need to be revealed during another Ubisoft Forward. It can handle its own reveal. They already showed it during one of these Ubisoft Forward events. That is enough. Now Valhalla can go on and have its own reveals where they've put the focus 100% on Assassin's Creed. And that could be happening in the very near future. I don't expect it to be too soon because then people will be wondering, why was this not at Ubisoft Forward like I am? The reality is that silence doesn't always mean that something is wrong when it comes to video game marketing. I will be the first to admit that there is a very good chance that Ubisoft Forward not including Valhalla means nothing at all for the game. It is so easy to mislead yourself when you are so hyped for a game like we are that you just want to know as much as possible as often as possible. It's so easy to read into things, and I think there's probably a mix of that going on here too. And the fact is, Ubisoft really hasn't been silent. Game director Benoit Richer, when asked when we're going to learn more about Valhalla on Twitter, said that we'll see something very soon, stay tuned. Now, I know that that means literally nothing. That's no information. Very soon is very ambiguous and vague. But hey, they're not being completely radio silent on this thing. To me, that makes sense that we might see a reveal or a trailer in the next month or so. If Valhalla is not at Ubisoft Forward, we're going to see something about this game at some point soon. Now, the absolute worst case scenario for me, and I think for Ubisoft too, is that this game gets delayed. The odds are incredibly low, but I think it's worth mentioning. We know that this game has been in the polish phase for a very long time. I think actually before Ash was fired and all that controversy came out, that he said the game was in the polish phase already. But it would be, I think, devastating for Ubisoft to come out on July 12th during the Forward event and say, this game is coming out on November 17th, holiday, and it's right around the launch of the new consoles, and then to have to come and delay it again. I think that would be devastating. And we know that games typically don't release in December because that's after the shopping cycle, that's after Black Friday. That is when a lot of people don't have a ton of extra income to spend on video games. There is one more possibility. I'm sure some of you caught on to this. I haven't mentioned it personally, but Ubisoft held a masterclass event recently for Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Valhalla's community teams and Ubisoft star players got an exclusive developer-led look at Valhalla. We know about this because Access the Animus and Codex and others have tweeted about it on August 26th, that they saw the game, they have some details that they can't share just yet, but they can make them available in public soon. Once again, soon is very vague and ambiguous, but the guy who runs Codex, Rhino the Bouncer, said that this is a great step in the right direction towards the brand's unique identity, which gets me excited. We don't know when this stuff is going to get revealed, but at least there's some movement on Valhalla. To round out this video, I wanted to give you guys a quick list of things that I really want to see from Valhalla before launch, before this game is in our hands. Since we really don't know when we're going to learn more about this game, I would love to see more social stealth. They showed a bit of this during the Ubisoft Forward gameplay trailer a couple months ago, but I'd love to see more. Best case, I would love a developer-guided gameplay, something like Ash did for Black Flag or Origins. Now, obviously, we know Ash won't be doing that, but I think this would go a long way for people to just give an unfiltered look at the game, not something that I've played or another content creator has played, straight from Ubisoft. The next thing, settlements. Please, for the love of God, I want to see this system in action. Ubisoft themselves compared settlements to Skyhold in Dragon Age Inquisition and the Normandy in Mass Effect. And as a BioWare fan myself, this gets me so excited for this system. Please, please, please show us settlements as soon as possible. Next, I want to see the runes system. I want to see how we're going to be able to customize our weapons and armor. This was notably absent from the demo that I played. I pointed it out in my honest opinions video. I want to see how these systems have evolved from Origins and Odyssey. And then finally, I want to see more assassin-y stuff. Maybe even some trailing missions. I know that's a dirty word in this community, but those were some of the missions that I felt most like an assassin. Perhaps even some more hints at the main story and how Eivor meets the hidden ones. Now I know that's major spoilers for a lot of people, but that could draw fans back in that are kind of interested in Valhalla but not convinced. In fact, I want to know more about this Masyaf assassin that appeared in the last gameplay trailer very briefly. I haven't talked about that yet, but that is super interesting and very exciting as an old school fan. That is about all I can say at this point. I just really want to see more Assassin's Creed Valhalla if that wasn't abundantly clear. And I'm sure you guys too. And I'd love to know in the comment section below, what are you most looking forward to? What do you need to know before Valhalla comes out? Is there a blind spot in the coverage and the gameplay and everything that you've seen so far? Let me know once again in the comments below. Big thanks to my patrons, Bill, Grass, David, Casey, John, Kamal, Spyro, Tom, Jackie, and Level 42. If you didn't know, I have a Patreon where you can support me further in exchange for exclusive updates and behind the scenes content. Check out the link in the description below for more information. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you next time.